In to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. My name is Landon. So excited to be joining you guys for a podcast in particular that no one asked for, and that is a full tournament preview. Tomorrow, we will have a preview specifically on Mississippi State and Baylor, but today we're actually going to look at a full bracket together, and we'll kind of go through and kind of pick the games. And also want to take an opportunity to invite anyone who has not already signed up for the My Dogs Are Barking bracket group. Here's the reason why. It is sponsored by ARPA's, and ARPA's is giving away a gift card to the winner. Only one entry per bracket, but make sure you join that, man. It's going to be a really fun time. And hey, might as well throw your bracket in for a chance to win an ARPA's gift card. It's going to be a great time. So we're going to go through, pick some games as the first of the first four games is out of the way, with North Carolina just destroying San Diego State last night. And we're going to kind of look at, if you're watching on YouTube, we'll have an actual bracket set up here in just a second, if I do not choke to death. But as we get into it, I do want to bring up that My Dogs Are Barking is brought to you in part by, as I already mentioned, ARPA's Coffee Bar there in Starkville. ARPA is located in the heart of the Cotton District. ARPA's is such a great place to grab a bite to eat, grab something to drink. And Jose and his family and his team there at ARPA's in the Cotton District are going to take care of you. Mention that you're a listener of the My Dogs Are Barking podcast. You want to get that MyDawgsPod discount. You get 15% off every single time you go to ARPA. So if you've never tried it before, give it a try. You won't regret it. But if you're already a lover of ARPA's, like I am and many other people are, just go ahead and get 15% off every single time you go in. Not a bad deal whatsoever. Man, I'm so excited for March Madness. It's going to be such a great time to see who is going to be the big name, who's going to step up, who's going to, kind of cash their check for, NIL commercials going forward for their moment in March Madness. Who's going to get rich from all this? Well, you got to ask yourself, what does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number, more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi Edward Jones advisor serving clients in the area and across the state. Count on him for financial strategies that can help you support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843, and together you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. All right, so getting into the bracket here, we're like, as I mentioned, if you're watching on YouTube, this is great. If you're not watching on YouTube, it's fine. We'll be able to kind of let you know what we're seeing here. So we're pulling up our bracket here, and I'd love to know where you guys are here, or where you guys might maybe differ on some of these. I'm just going to kind of go through and give you my opinion on a few of them. Obviously, I think Auburn's going to beat Alabama State. I don't think there'll be an issue there. Louisville and Creighton, the 8-9 game is interesting. Louisville is only they're actually in the Lexington bracket, so they're actually only 70 minutes away from their home stadium. So Louisville travels as well. So you have to look at that as advantage Louisville there. However, Creighton does have the overall best player. When you kind of look at in between these two teams, Ryan Kalkbrenner is a guy that's almost a double-double guy, really good on defense. Stephen Ashworth is one of the oldest players in the NCAA. He's 25 years old. My man can rent a car and probably needs to go ahead and, make sure he cashes out his 401k. But anyway, obviously Louisville has some talent, but I think Creighton has the better player. This is going to be a great game. Would not be shocked at all if Louisville ends up winning this one, as most 8-9 games are. Michigan and San Diego. Now, people are kind of picking this as the go-to game of kind of upsets, of picking UC San Diego. And I understand why. Michigan has kind of been up and down, despite the fact they just won the Big Ten tournament and they're only a 5 seed, kind of an odd thing to be in. UC San Diego this is the very first time they've ever been in the NCAA tournament. They're a 12 seed. They have a 15-game winning streak. Here's the problem. Even though they've won this many games, that's nice, but UC San Diego has not played near the talent that a Michigan has, or many other teams have. Honestly, their most kind of notable win, I guess you would say, would be James Madison. Now on the road at Utah State's a good win. I just don't think that they've been challenged enough, and I think Michigan with their 2 7-footers is going to give UC San Diego too many problems. But I get it. I get why people pick that. Now, here's the upset alert. Texas A&M and Yale. Here's the reason why I think Yale's going to win this game. Yale's defense squeezes around the paint, so it forces teams to shoot threes. Texas A&M is a bad three-point shooting team. Wade Taylor and company get into the paint and do damage. They do very well. But as we mentioned, if you've been listening to the show, Texas A&M has kind of been trailing off a little bit, even going into the SEC tournament before they lost to Texas. I've got Yale upsetting Texas A&M there. Ole Miss and North Carolina. Now, North Carolina just destroyed San Diego State last night in the first 4 game. Looked really, really good. To be honest with you, though, I honestly think that San Diego State just looked really bad. This is a North Carolina team that has been struggling. However, they've got it going as of late because they played Duke very close in the ACC tournament game. Ole Miss, Chris Beard is a very good coach. There's Mississippi State fans who listen to this show that don't like Ole Miss at all, but will admit he's good at coaching, especially in March. So I see why Ole Miss would go through and win this game, and obviously Ole Miss has performed better. But as I was watching North Carolina last night, I had this thought of like, this just kind of feels a little too deceptive. Everyone's talking about North Carolina. Everyone's talking about how negative they are. Can't you see them going on a run? And I do. I can see them going on a run and beating Ole Miss. Again, despite the fact I think Ole Miss is the better team. But I'm picking North Carolina there. They just have this chip on their shoulder that they're really excited to be there and they're ready to load up kind of going forward. Iowa State and Lipscomb, I don't think Lipscomb's played a caliber of team to match up with Iowa State. Now, despite the fact Iowa State's missing one of their best players, and we'll kind of see if he's even going to be available for the rest of the tournament, but I think they should be fine to match up there. All right, Marquette and New Mexico. This is a 10-7 game. Marquette's actually favored by 4. Cam Jones is the best player in this game. Has been really good for Marquette for a while. Marquette obviously has the better, more notable win over Purdue. And then they have some close losses against really good teams. New Mexico, though, has gone on the road and beaten Utah State by 20. They've beaten VCU. They lost to St. John's on St. John's home court, and they beat UCLA on the road at the very, very beginning of the season. I like Mr. Patino, though, so I'm going to go with New Mexico here. I thought that was a team we thought would get a little bit further last season that was not able to. Michigan State and Bryant, I think that's just kind of an easy one. Let's just go ahead and roll with New Mexico State there. Let's go over to the East, and then we'll play out the rest of the round 32. So we're going by rounds here. Duke should not have an issue with whoever they are facing there. I'll be remarkably shocked. Now, here's the one where we'll break down a little bit further yesterday. Now, if you know anything about our show or podcast, we're not afraid to pick against Mississippi State. In fact, you'd be a lot wiser to pick against Mississippi State. It'd be smart. I think Mississippi State got the best possible matchup for them to face. Now, coach-wise, Scott Drew is an elite coach. I mean, this is a national championship winning coach. But Mississippi State seems to be able to – I think they're going to be able to match up with this team much better than they would other 9 seeds. And, I wouldn't want anything to do with Creighton. UConn was almost a 9 seed. I'm glad they didn't get matched up with them. Gonzaga or Georgia, no thanks. I like the Bulldogs to win here. And I've actually been a little surprised that more media people have actually agreed that they think State's going to be able to match up there. I think that with Baylor's best play – so – VJ Edgecombe is an NBA player. He's a first-round draft pick. But what is it? Is it Amir Jones? No, and Norchad Amir, who was from Miami last season, is the player that kind of does the majority of their scoring. And I think Cam Matthews is going to be matched up against him. I like State's matchup with Baylor, so I'm going with the Bulldogs. Oregon and Liberty. Now, Oregon's a team that's really interesting. They don't have the shooting that they have in recent years. And they're a 5 seed. So it's kind of a popular sneaky pick for them to go to Sweet 16. I don't see it, though. I'm a shout out to the Baptists. I'm taking Liberty to win that game. Liberty can shoot. They are the prototypical 3-point shooting team that can help knock some shots down. Akron and Arizona. Akron has played a lot of teams close. They're 28-8. When you go over to kind of some of their notable wins, I just don't like kind of what this team looks like this year as opposed to last year. And I think Arizona underachieves in the tournament almost every single season, but I think they're going to have enough to get past Akron this time around. All right, BYU and VCU. BYU has the oldest player in the NCAA, 26-year-old on their team, who does not even, I don't even think he plays a ton, but VCU is the underdog in this game. But I got to tell you, I think VCU is going to upset BYU and go on a run here. Again, I like BYU. They've done well, but I don't think they shoot it as well as they have in recent years. And I got 2 wins versus Iowa State. That's their best case scenario, but they were no match at all for Houston. VCU, while they might not have played the same type of schedule as they have, I like the shooting that's on the team for VCU. So I think VCU is going to advance past BYU. Wisconsin and Montana, I don't have a ton of analysis there. I go with Wisconsin. Vanderbilt snuck in as a 10 seed versus St. Mary's, and I like Vanderbilt. The job they've done is really, really, it's been impressive. But in terms of this St. Mary's team, I like the defense that they've been able to play throughout the season, and I just don't know if Vanderbilt's going to be able to put up enough points to get past them. So I understand people picking the 10 over 7. I do, but I don't think it's going to happen here. Alabama should not have any issue with Robert Morris, but we will see. Going down to the West, we'll pick through these quickly. Florida beating Norfolk State. UConn and Oklahoma is very interesting. When people are kind of down on UConn, and I get it. But since McNeely has been back in the starting lineup, I believe they've only lost 2 games out of the past several. I like UConn to beat Oklahoma now. If Jeremiah Fears decides to go off, that will be it. But I think UConn's going to be able to win that game. Memphis and Colorado State, old Penny Hardaway. The issue with Penny Hardaway is in 7 seasons at Memphis, he has 1 tournament win. And I like this Colorado State team a lot. I know that Memphis finally wins their league, and PJ Haggerty is a really good player. But, man, Colorado State is a team that can really give teams problems. Obviously, Nick Clifford is not only a phenomenal name, but a guy who's kind of a double-double machine. I'm picking Colorado State with the upset. I just don't like Memphis's teams in really high level situations. They just don't seem to perform well in the past little bit. Maryland and Grand Canyon, also shout out to the Baptists. They might be non-denominational there, Grand Canyon, who knows, or Pentecostal. So people are picking this as the 4-13 matchup, and I get it. One seems to happen every single year, but we already picked Yale to beat Texas A&M. Maryland is not going to go down right there. Missouri and Drake. Caleb Grill can shoot it really, really well, but Drake plays the 365th pace tempo in the entire nation, dead last in tempo. If they can grind Missouri down to a screeching halt, and I think they can, I think Drake's going to pull off a 6-11 upset. Texas now a caveat though, if Missouri just decides that they're going to shoot like they are capable of, there's not going to be a ton of teams that can beat them. Texas Tech, I don't think will have any issue with UNC Wilmington, but who knows? John Calipari versus Bill Self in the 10-7. I got to be honest with you. I love the way Arkansas is playing. I really do. And I know if they get in foul trouble, it's over because they don't have a big rotation. But Kansas is just not a good team. They dropped all the way from the number 1 seed down to, or from the number 1 team all the way back to being a 7 seed. St. John's and Omaha. Ray Pitino will not have an issue there, but John Calipari and Rick Pitino meeting in the second round will be very interesting. Houston should not have an issue there advancing. Gonzaga as an 8 seed is tricky, man, because Gonzaga is a much better team than an 8 seed on paper. I mean, they're a top 20 in net. Georgia, I like them, but they're not going to be able to shoot and kind of keep up with Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga is able to pull that off. All right, now here's another one that's popular as McNeese over Clemson. Man, I get it. I like Will Wade a lot. This is going to be his last time probably he's coaching there before he goes somewhere else. McNeese is a 7.5-point underdog. For me, the main problem with McNeese is I just don't love the level of competition they've played this season. Like, yeah, they played Alabama very close early in the season. You know, they lose to Liberty on the road. They lose to State on the road. And both of those games close, although I think that game was in Tupelo. But after that, like, have they been challenged? You know, and so I have trouble thinking that Clemson is not going to be able to, because Clemson has size. McNeese does not have size. So I'm going to go with Clemson there. I get people wanting to pick McNeese. Purdue is really good at choking early on in the tournament. I don't think that happens this year. I just don't think High Point's a good enough team to do that. Texas and Xavier play tonight, so Wednesday night. If Trey Johnson can get going, I think they can win tonight versus Xavier, and I think it's possible to end up beating an Illinois team as well that's kind of underachieved compared to the past few seasons. But Illinois is still a dangerous team. So I'm going to pick Illinois to win that game regardless. But I like how Texas has been playing. I don't think Troy's going to have the ability to keep up with Kentucky offensively. Utah State and UCLA, I'm a little surprised that UCLA is a 7 seed. I like Utah State a lot. I like how they've progressed throughout the season. They're a 4.5-point underdog in this game. But if you look, UCLA obviously is not as good as they have been in recent years. But Utah State has had several games versus tournament teams. I'm going with Utah State to win that 10-7 matchup. I don't think Tennessee's going to have an issue with Wofford. Wofford is a good shooting team, but they're not as good as they have been this season or in past seasons. So no 15 over 2s. I think the biggest upset we have here is Yale over A&M. But honestly, we have several upsets. And look, you can come at me if you like. But it's fun to pick some upsets and fun to stick by it. You know, you always see people like, you think that's going to happen? But they'll never give their pick on like what they think is going to happen. So let's advance to the round of 32. Auburn and Creighton. I think Auburn's going to be able to get through Ryan Kalkbrenner at this point in the Sweet 16, but I just don't love the way Auburn's been playing recently. I think that they match up well with Creighton. I'd be nervous if Louisville won that first game versus Creighton and it's Louisville versus Auburn. I might be willing to take Louisville, but I'm going Auburn here over Creighton because I think Creighton's going to win that first game. Michigan and Yale. Yale, the Smarties over there, going up against a Michigan team that I think is going to get past UC San Diego. I think Michigan is going to be able to get to the Sweet 16 and get past Yale. I don't think Yale has enough in their tank. And also, you know, Yale does squeeze the paint, but Michigan has 2 7-footers that should not have an issue down low. North Carolina and Iowa State. I don't love the fact that Iowa State's missing one of their best players. I think that from this game, North Carolina, believe it or not, is going to go to the Sweet 16. That's my upset. That's kind of my, if you can count North Carolina as a Cinderella, which would be weird. I'm going with North Carolina to win that game. Michigan State's going to be able to get past New Mexico, though. So that is that part of the Sweet 16. Duke and Mississippi State. I think State's able to win versus Baylor, but they're not going to be able to get past Duke. They don't have the talent and shooting to get past a Duke team that's so deep. Even if Cooper Flagg is a little injured. Liberty and Arizona. Arizona again. They for whatever reason they just underachieve throughout this part of the year. But I think Liberty has enough to get past the first game. I think finally Arizona and Tommy will get to the Sweet 16. VCU and Wisconsin. Wisconsin as a 3 seed is a little surprising to me. John Tonji can shoot, man. He can shoot really well, but if he's not shooting at an efficient clip, you got to kind of be worried about where they go. So, again, a good shooting team, but I think VCU is going to have the opportunity to go on a run. So I'm actually picking VCU to advance. St. Mary's in Alabama. I know we're a little worried about this Alabama team. I could certainly see an instance where Alabama gets shocked here by St. Mary's, but I'm picking them to get through VCU. This St. Mary's team reminds me a little bit of San Diego State 2 years ago. That's the reason why I get nervous thinking about if they can beat that team, but I think Alabama's going to advance there. So we have 2 11 seeds there in our Sweet 16 on that side of the bracket. On this side, Florida and UConn. How crazy would it be if Florida lost in this round of 32 to UConn, who is going on a run? Again, McNeely's really good, man. And, coaching matchup, Dan Hurley's, wins that. But I think Florida's playing better than anybody. And so does everyone else. there's a reason why they're probably the most picked champion at this point outside of Auburn. Colorado State and Maryland, the Crab Five is what they're calling the Maryland guys. Derek Queen is a beast down low, and I don't think Colorado's going to have an answer. Colorado State's going to have an answer for them. Drake, people say Drake lost to Kendrick Lamar, and that's fine. But I think they're also going to lose to Texas Tech. Texas Tech's got a lot of talent, man. Really, really interesting seeing them this year. Now, Arkansas and St. John's, Calipari versus Rick Pitino is really exciting to think about. And I know people have kind of penciled in St. John's to go on a really deep run. But I got to be honest with you. I think they're getting upset here versus John Calipari in Arkansas. Again, Arkansas is playing really well, and I like how St. John's is playing. But this is going to be an exciting matchup if it's able to actually happen. So I have Arkansas going to the Sweet 16, a little bit surprising. Houston and Gonzaga. Gonzaga is a better team than what they are seeded in. So this is probably going to be a really, really good game and a good test between both of those teams. But I'm picking Houston to win out of these two. I think it's a better team than Gonzaga. Despite the fact that Gonzaga is probably underseeded, they still are going to have too much of a problem with this Houston team. Clemson and Purdue. I know people want to pick on Purdue because they do choke every once in a while, but they have the Big Ten Player of the Year in Braden Smith. I think he's going to be able to get them past Clemson that lost a little bit too much from last season. Illinois and Kentucky. I'm picking the offense. Kentucky is able to shoot lights out, man, and when they're on, they're on. Tennessee and Utah State. I'm picking Tennessee to advance past Utah State there. So then we have Kentucky and Tennessee matchup. So here we go, Sweet 16. What we have left on. We will pause here for a moment to hear some messages from MPW Digital. When we come back, we will get the rest of the Elite Eight, Final Four, and the national champions. You are watching the My Dogs Are Barking podcast.
All MPW Digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital. We're brought to you by Easy Hemp Company. Easy is a hemp-infused sparkling water. It's a guilt-free alcohol alternative, a natural way to relax and unwind. It's all natural. Made with real fruit, no added sugar, low calories, gluten-free. One 12-ounce can of Easy has 3 milligrams of THC. With Easy, it's easy to avoid the gummy scare and control your experience. So change the can, not the ritual. It's easy. Visit EasyHempCo.com to view the Easy Finder to find Easy near you. Easy is Farm Bill compliant with hemp derived from THC, CBD extracts. Easy is for people 21 and older. Enjoy responsibly.
My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. Let's finish up the Sweet 16. Let's finish this out. Auburn and Michigan. Again, Michigan's a team that has not been as good this season, but you got to remember, this is a Dusty May coach team with two really big 7-footers that you got to wonder if, I know Johnny Broom's been really good, but have they faced this type of have they faced this type of offense throughout the season, or pardon me, this defense throughout the season? And it's not as popular of a pick, but I'm throwing it in there, man. I think Auburn loses here. I think Michigan's going to go past them here at the Elite Eight. Because why not? Let's mix the tournament up a little bit. North Carolina and Michigan State. This is where North Carolina's run is going to go to an end, much further than what other people thought. I think Michigan State wins and beats North Carolina. So we've got a Michigan State matchup there on the Elite Eight. Then we have Duke and Arizona. Again, Arizona got maybe a little further than what some people would have thought, but I think Duke's got too much talent. They should be able to get past them. VCU and Alabama has great game written all over it. But Alabama can shoot, man. And Alabama can shoot really well. I'm picking them to advance to the Elite Eight. Going down, Maryland versus the Crab Five of Maryland going up against the Florida Gators there in the Elite Eight. I love how Florida's playing. I like Derek Queen down low from Maryland, but too much shooting from Florida. They're going to be able to advance past Maryland in what will probably be a very good game. Texas Tech and Arkansas, this is the end of the line for Arkansas. They are not going to have the ability to get past the scoring of JT Toppin and company. Texas Tech's going to advance there. What a huge thing that would be for them to advance to the Elite Eight. Houston and Purdue, more like Purdue. They're not going to be able to get past Houston this time around. And then Kentucky and Tennessee, a matchup that we saw in the regular season. I love the shooting that Kentucky has, but it's not going to be enough. I think Tennessee advances for a really good game versus Houston. Let's get to the Final Four, shall we? Michigan and Michigan State. I'm picking Michigan State to advance past Michigan in this. Michigan State's not a team as many folks are talking about. Duke and Alabama meet, and who will go to the Final Four between those two teams? I am picking the shooting of Alabama to advance. I just think when they're on, man, they're on. Alabama gets back to another Final Four. Florida and Texas Tech, another really good game. I'm picking the Gators to advance through. And by golly, am I going to pick an SEC team to get to a third SEC team to get to the Final Four between these two teams? I am not. Houston's got too much defense, and they're going to shut down Chaz Lanier and company. Florida versus Michigan State. I'm picking the Gators to advance. Alabama and Houston, again, just too much defense. And if Alabama can't shoot, that's the one thing I worry about. Can they pivot to something else? I'm picking Houston to advance there. And all in all, I am picking the Florida Gators to bring it home. Not super surprising. Florida has been playing really well throughout the entire season, but they have been on as of late. And so when your team is rolling, and you want to kind of keep that momentum going, I think Florida's going to be able to do that. And so I'm picking Florida to win the national title. Not crazy, not something that no one has picked, but we did pick a number of upsets. We got 13 Yale over A&M. We got Liberty over Oregon. We got VCU going to the Sweet 16. We got North Carolina going to the Sweet 16. We got Colorado State over Memphis, got Drake over Missouri, got Arkansas to the Sweet 16. I mean, we picked some pretty crazy matchups here. And hey, why not? Let's just get crazy. It's March. So make sure that you have joined our bracket group for a chance to win an ARPA's gift card. We want to shout out to the folks at ARPA's for giving us the gift card to give away. We're excited to do it. And thank you guys so much for listening. Hey, tell me in the comments below or go to our Twitter. It's just at MyDawgsPod. What's the best upset that you have? Or what's the craziest upset that you have? The upset that no one is talking about. A lot of people are talking about McNeese State over Clemson. I don't even have that one in there, but it seems to be kind of the popular one. So let me know what you think is the most outrageous upset you have in your bracket. Who do you have winning it all? Is it one of the teams everybody has of Auburn or Florida or Duke? Or do you have someone that no one is talking about? Let me know in the comments. Hey, thank you guys so much for listening to the My Dogs Are Barking podcast. It's March. It's the best time of the year, and we'll see you next time.